The CDC's independent panel of vaccine advisors is set to meet again this week to reevaluate the pause on Johnson & Johnson's coronavirus vaccine. Officials recommended the pause after 6 women between the ages of 18 and 48 who had recently been vaccinated developed rare blood clots. Doctors say they are beginning to understand what's causing the blood clots, but they have not found a definitive link to the vaccine. Dr. Anthony Fauci expects the panel to have a decision for that vaccine at the end of the week.
I don't want to get ahead of the CDC and the FDA and the advisory committee, but I would imagine that what we will see is that it would come back, and it would come back in some sort of either warning or restriction.
CNN's Polo Sandoval joins me now from Detroit, Michigan, a state that is witnessing a third COVID surge. Polo, what are you learning there?
Well, Fred, we are learning that amid this ongoing increase in not just cases, but also in hospitalizations here in Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer actually addressing these ongoing calls that we've heard by many, not all, but by many here in the state of Michigan, saying that perhaps the best solution to these increasing numbers would be to actually shut down various parts of the state, similar to what we saw play out a year ago. You remember just recently, even the head of the CDC suggested that that might be the best solution here. But again, today the governor essentially responding, saying at this point that may not be the best solution, and specifically saying that it's likely because of what she described as Republican-led efforts here in the state of Michigan, including also or at least in addition to a recent decision from the state Supreme Court greatly limiting her authority to extend the emergency declaration. And because of those reasons, as she explained on Meet the Press this morning, she's unable to actually take the actions that we saw a year ago.
We're now in a much different position. On top of that, in the waning months, I have been sued by my legislature. I have lost in a Republican-controlled Supreme Court, and I don't have all of the exact same tools. Despite those things, we still have some of the strongest mitigation measures in the country. Mask mandates, capacity limitations, working from home. So we're still doing what we can.
And asked by NBC's Chuck Todd if she felt that she basically had her hands tied right now as these numbers continue to increase, the governor then responded by saying that ultimately is about personal responsibility and about Michiganders actually continuing to adhere to many of these recommended measures like the mask wearing, like the social distancing. And Fred, it's something that we continue to hear from the medical community. We spent some time outside a hospital yesterday that's trying to keep up with this third surge. Heard from a doctor who's been at the front lines already for the last 15, 16 months who fears that people are still not getting the message here in Michigan alone that that is the best way to try to bring these numbers down, especially with over half the cases right now being tied to that variant that originated in the UK.
All right, Polo Sandoval in Detroit, thank you so much for that. All right, joining me right now to discuss is Dr. Jane Morgan, the Executive Director of Piedmont Healthcare's COVID Task Force in Atlanta. Dr. Morgan, good to see you. So experts are warning that more states could soon see scenarios similar, boy, that's an alliteration, to the coronavirus crisis, unfolding in Michigan. What are you most concerned about right now?
Thank you, Frederica, for having me today. I think one of the things that we need to be concerned about is that this tragedy continues to unfold. And currently, as we move deeper and deeper into our vaccination effort, we are seeing that seniors, 65 and over 75% of those have been vaccinated. So now what we're looking at is a shift in the demographics down to a younger and younger age group. And we're seeing these surges, spring break, next will be Memorial Day, next will be 4th of July. We've got to begin to get serious about this, because although many people who are younger than the age of 30 or 35 seem to feel that there's some invincibility, if I contract COVID, I will not get sick. But the fact of the matter is, while that might be true, you might be sick later on down the road and develop this long haul syndrome. And in fact, be sicker later than you were when you actually were infected. And we have to be able to identify that and to transmit that message.
So do you believe that's going to be the new frontier of messaging, because young people largely have felt pretty invincible. And now you've got to convince young people, as more states open up to vaccinations, starting at ages 16 in so many states. Now there has to be a campaign to convince them to actually get the vaccine, right? Because many of the young people already feel like, because so many are asymptomatic, that they can kind of beat this thing even if they are exposed to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. And we have to have some sympathy. People are exhausted. And when we look at our youth, this is their time to be free and to socialize and to interact. And we're asking them to please dampen down, follow public health measures, and it's going on and on and on. But part of the reason that it's going on is because we can never get together as a society and truly follow these public health measures. And now that we have these immunizations in place, I think that adds another layer of that invincibility. But long haul syndrome is serious, and it's independent of race and gender and age and socioeconomic status and even level of complications of comorbidities. So you can certainly be young and infected with COVID-19 and sit at home and quarantine yourself and play video games and maybe mark your calendar until you can spring yourself in 14 days. But 3 or 4 or 5 months down the road, you might actually develop some of these symptoms that mean that long term, you could actually be sicker than you were when you had COVID. And currently, there is no treatment and we have no cure for long haul syndrome, loss of taste or smell, disorientation. People have disabilities, unable to return to work, difficulty with memory, things even more serious, inflammation of the heart, inflammation of the lungs. All of these things can develop even though your course of COVID was fairly innocuous. You were pretty comfortable. You might be sick later, and that's not a risk that you should take, and it's certainly even more tragic when we talk about the disability of our youth.
Well, Dr. Jane Morgan, I heard an appeal that you're making to young people that I haven't heard quite put that way, so hopefully they are listening. Dr. Jane Morgan, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Frederica.